Hello, friends and family. All right, I'm back at my desk. Here's a couple of updates. It's Tuesday, August 26th, a couple days later than I normally do these, but all of our guests have officially been gone for a week now. I kind of reclaimed my home and all my spaces and my environment, and I took last week to really just recover. I really felt like I had hit the bottom of E. And the best example I can give you is a minivan, right? So let me give you an example on a minivan. When I think we just had my son and he was really young, my wife had her first minivan, and I met her at a school event. And we went and did this school event at night. And then as we left, I loaded my son into the van. I went to kiss her goodbye, and she went to start her car, and it wouldn't start. And so it was a fairly new van, and I'm like, I don't understand the problem. And she started laughing, and she knew exactly what the problem was. And the problem was the E was all the way at the bottom, and the gas was gone. And I think, in my wife's view, not only should there be a gauge that goes all the way down, not only should there be a light that comes on, but that light should change colors, and then some alarms should go off. And that's not obviously wasn't the case. And so she thought it was funny. I was actually irritated, and here's the reason why I was irritated: is had this been somewhere where I wasn't there, it left her vulnerable with my young child. And so I got defensive. She got upset with me because I got upset, and the whole thing was just upsetting. And I'm not even sure if I ever apologized, and I know she never did because she thought it was funny. Point being, last week I was on E, and the lights were blinking, the sirens were going off, and I just was not handling it well. And so now this week I feel like I fueled back up. I got on some antibiotics off that cold that I couldn't shake. It was a bad cold. I got a ton of rest. Really interesting. For some reason, all my customers went dormant last week, all my text messages, all my emails, all my phone calls, and I really just recovered. And then this week, it's been all about focus. And so with focus this week, yesterday I had gotten great sleep over the weekend. We did some stuff with my computer. I use Docs all day, every day, to keep notes on everything I'm basically doing, clients, personal, everything. And when we set up Windows 11, Docs put this huge margin on the left-hand side, which drove me insane. And I couldn't find the cursor on the black screen, and it was hard to find the letters, even though all my other software, all my other programs were working really well. And so my wife and I sat down yesterday. This had been bothering me for weeks. And we decided on Microsoft Word. And so we implemented some stuff with Word. We did some auto-save stuff. We did some files. And I spent all day working at my computer yesterday, and I felt great. I felt whole. I felt energized. I put a job together. It was really good. So that was a huge win. There's the I heard from the Washington State Board of the Blind. A counselor got a hold of me yesterday, sent me an email, and I got a hold of him. And the soonest he can see me is 2 weeks from now. And his job is to emotionally check in on my state and then refer me to two of his colleagues, which will run me through the things I can do and the things I can't do. And then all three of them get back together, and then they assign me to a caseworker. And it's just comical because I've been living with this thing for like 6 weeks now, and everything has been my wife and I just figuring this stuff out. And sometimes at my own detriment. I was with the doctor, and this is not healing here. This is where I fell on concrete a few weeks ago, and he's actually told me, he says, Sean, you have got to immobilize this so the tendons can heal. And if you don't do that, that's not going to heal. Obviously, I'm heeding to what he's saying because I don't have a brace on here right now, but we will be putting one on this week. Other things, we've come up, if last week was about rest, this week is about focus. And here's the interesting thing, I was thinking about this. Focus. At the end of 2024, our networking group was in a room, and one of the guys said, "What word are you hearing for next year?" And as everybody went around the table, I said focus. And I said, I just want more focus on my businesses, more focus on my time with my family. I just want more clarity. And then my wife, after me, she said she was thinking the exact same word. She was thinking focus. Literally, neither one of us meant that I would visually lose my focus. It wasn't supposed to be something that became worse. It was supposed to be something that became better. And the reality is I've lost my focus. And so we're bringing a couple people into my inner circle. We're doing some focus on my diabetes. We're doing some focus on my vision loss. You got to remember, nobody's saying that my vision can't get better, and nobody's saying my vision can't get worse, and nobody's saying my vision's going to stay the same. Everybody's saying we don't know. And so as we continue to run tests, as we continue to talk to doctors, we are planning on the next 90 days to get me in the best possible health, and that's on me. I said this last week. If I do this well, this shouldn't look hard to you guys. But there's some things. There's some diet. There's some exercise. There's some nutrition. There's some things. And I've had some diets in my life that have been incredibly successful, and then I've had some that have been ultimate failures. I know what works for me, and I know what I need to do. And so I was just watching something on Netflix the other day that came up as a ad, and it was a take up of The Biggest Loser, and it was one of the guys that won The Biggest Loser. He lost something like crazy, like 200 pounds, and here he was years later after having every single tool that he could be given on a national spotlight, and he had regained all of his original weight. And so for me, I know there's some things that I need to be doing, and I'm going to be implementing those things. I want to be pressing it hard over the next 90 days. So those are some of the updates that I'll be giving, and just with the usual stuff. So that's where I am this week. We'll see where I am next week. Hopefully I don't run out of things to talk about, but you guys are still asking me for these videos. You guys are reaching out to me. You're sending me messengers. You're calling me, and you're saying, hey, these things are helpful, and maybe there's a greater good down the road somewhere, and these are just the beginning. I have no idea. I am just going to live my life to the best of my ability. I'm going to keep applying that PMA, positive mental attitude. I'm going to keep honing in on my skills of things that I am good at in life, along with things that I need to overcome, and just see where all of this takes us on this journey and these different chapters we go through. So I love you guys. I love your friendship. I love everything you're doing to help me out, and that's the last for today, because I'm out of here. Let's see what we have for the Ray-Bans and any videos I shot earlier in the week. Love you. Along the lines of things that I am still able to do, and I like to talk about chores because I like doing chores. For me, I like to hang dry all my shirts. These guys are having a good time. I was having a bit of a hard time with this hole here, so I had to kind of feel for it. There we go. So I like the good old-fashioned feeling when you think of growing up as a kid. If your parents had a clothing line outside in the middle of the yard and they'd hang up all the clothes, I actually think there was something better about the quality of that. Although I have to admit, once these are all dry, I will end up taking them and putting them in the dryer with a fabric softener sheet for a couple minutes. And I understand the grass gets cut tomorrow. This is the longest it gets. And that's what's going to make it all dirty. Under the chores I can still do and cannot do. One thing that's difficult is all of this white porcelain in the shower. get water makes it really hard for me to determine when this is filling up. And this has been slowing down. And normally I would get one of those blue pick things and shove it down there and bring up a little bit of hair. But we actually found out through the warranty company that for $100 deductible, they sent a plumber out. The plumber took that thing apart. He actually used a Milwaukee vacuum and sucked out a bunch of hair, which was disgusting. But then he brought in a big fish thing, threw that down there, brought up some more stuff. So these are things I just am glad I cannot do with my vision loss. And so we're going to chalk that up to a win this week. I'm looking forward to a nice long shower tonight without having to worry if this is going to come up and drain out. And so that was a huge plus. It has been a pretty interesting day. The last of our house guests left yesterday. Today is Tuesday, and I really woke up with this thoughts of all these calls I was going to make, quotes I needed to do. But instead, what ended up happening was after a plumber had come and gone, I had gotten a phone call from a friend of mine in California. We've been friends for 25 years. We did things like Bible studies together. We did church council together. I was on secretary at church council, and he was just kind of calling to kind of reaffirm some stuff that God had been speaking to him about my situation and letting me know that he was praying for me. And just kind of felt like in the worst of the situation, the greater good was going to come. And so we talked for like a long time. And then I had spoken with another friend of mine that's a friend up here for a couple years and a little further ahead than I am. And he had said, hey, Sean, keep those videos coming. There's a vulnerability to them. There's a realness to them. And just keep doing it however you're doing it. Don't alter for anybody else. And he said, that other friend said, find your tribe. Find some people that are going to be going through what you're going through. And then a client of mine from California that's been a client for 15 years called me off of the first video I sent 4 or 5 weeks ago. And he has vision loss very similar to mine. And so we traded stories for a good 20 minutes or so. He actually asked me to send him some of the products I've been using. And he was just so, enamored at how far I'd taken the tech so quickly. And then another friend called just to talk about family and talk about what's going on and talk about, encouraging. And really what this whole day has been about was it turned into me just chatting on the phone all day long, not doing any work at all. And that tribe that I always talk about was that tribe kind of coming alongside. And I really feel that God has been speaking to me in a way of not telling me you have to do these churches, you have to do these groups, you have to do this work, and you have to climb the ladder. But God has more been impressing on me that he's meeting me where I'm at and sending people alongside. And so this has been the kind of day that I would call kind of a recharge day. And the thing that I really described it as is coming out of a lake, soaking wet, and then having a couple of your friends come alongside and throw a towel on top of you, even shake you off and, let you dry out a little bit. And that's what today has felt like. It's just kind of drying out a little bit. So I wanted to share that while it was on my heart because it has been all day long and I feel like I'm drying out. Love you guys. All right, the goal is 100 ounces a day. I like technology. So I have this thing by, I think, HydroSpark, and 10 seconds after I drink out of it, a little blue light comes on and lets us know how we're doing. And then if I go to my HydroSpark app, we can see that I've got 19.5 since the day started. My goal is 100 ounces. That would look really good. The problem is I start well in the morning, and then throughout the day I taper off. I'm kind of devoting myself to this. If we take a look, yesterday 90, day before 71, day before 62, 81, 72, 72. I honestly can't remember the last time I got 100. I was sitting there. Look at that day. I was drinking a lot of Gatorade, I think, that day. Same thing there. Got really close that day. Gosh, when was the last time I actually got 100? Right there. So on August 2nd was the last time I had 106 ounces. So we're going to try to get back to this. Sleep is a huge thing for me. I've seen interviews with some people that can sleep 10 hours and be perfectly happy, like Rob Lowe. He's actually talked about 14 hours. For me, there's the again. For me, I would love 8 hours of sleep, and it's hard for me to get. But just to give you an example, if I go into my health here, last night I got almost 7. That's pretty regular for me, depending on if I'm working out a lot or not and exhausting my body. I think the day before, 5:42, I was just had a lot on my mind as the week was getting started. But over the weekend, as I've been on antibiotics and getting better, we can see this last week, on Sunday, Saturday into Sunday, 10 hours and 54 minutes. I had a nap in there. And the day before, 10 hour and 37 minutes. So this was really, really coming off of that really bad week. Me knowing that I needed to recharge over the weekend and just allow my body to recenter and recuperate and kind of hit it this week, which is what we're doing. Things I've been trying to do a better job of is my body and just tensions in the body. And so I found this yoga that's for over 50. And since I'm 50 and over now, I'm doing this. So I'm now on day 18. I wish that was 18 consecutive days, but unfortunately it's not. But I actually have this on my iPad, and it's mirroring to my TV. And if all that works right, I should do that.
The center
and
of your
here's
chest
my guy.
Namaste. Rest here, breathing naturally and letting go of any tension.
Yes.
Inhale deeply.
And there's Eli on his big old bed. All right, this is another part of my day. My doctor believes that if I can do 4 days a week at 40 minutes, fast pace as much as I can before let's see, outdoor walk, indoor walk. There we go. I'm a big numbers guy. I always want all my numbers. But if I can do 4 days a week, as fast as walk as I can do until I have to breathe through my mouth. Now, Eli just doesn't understand why this isn't happening outside. And I want to work up to that, but in my neighborhood, I don't have a lot of sidewalks. And so that's confusing for him. But hopefully, and both these dogs are a lot of horsepower together, and they amp each other up. When I walk one at a time, I really enjoy it, and it's a really good walk. But then I feel guilty I left the other one behind. What do I do for 40 minutes? I'll up this every minute. I'll up this until I get to 3 miles an hour. There we go. One of my guilty pleasures right now is Grey's Anatomy, so I'll put that on. Sometimes I'll put some videos on, but there's the again. We got to get that out of there. Sometimes I'll put some YouTube videos on, some stuff about visually impaired, some tech stuff, things like that. But whoops, There we go. And then we'll do a little bit of, hey, that's what I look like. Got my Ray-Ban glasses on. This is one of the few things that I sweat a little bit on. So I have a tendency to wear a headband, and I even do a wristband. And that is what that looks like. So I'll actually turn that off. And sometimes I'll get a phone call, sometimes I'll get text messages, and this is just a good start. Go up that a little bit more.